Good morning, everyone. Hello. Oh my gosh, you can see that, but it's just gonna have to be that way. I don't want to put it too close and distract you, though. So we're going live on Instagram. Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Let's see if I can move that so it's not as distractingly obvious. Hi, guys. Okay. Rotate. Hey everyone, welcome. Hi, we're here. Instagram's right here. And welcome to episode number 40. No, 51. 51. Holy crap. Episode 51. We are here, episode number 51 of Sunday Morning Coffee with Caryn. We are going to be talking about today another year around the sun. So, yes, this is going to be a very me oriented live stream. Um, but it's my birthday tomorrow. So, I kind of don't give a fuck that it's going to be me oriented. So, I'm just going to make sure that all of my notifications are off there. So, we are here. We are live. We made it. Hi, everyone in Instagram. I'm like trying to make it so it doesn't look as awkward that I'm changing my eye focus. Okay, so this isn't just going to be all about me, but I really want to teach you guys some of the things that I've learned in the last year that have helped me to like 10x my business to be able, like I said 3 times it, and then I realized this time last year my like net for my business was literally 10 times less than what it is right now. So like 10 times, thank you. Thank you. 10 times my business in a year. I really came out and started letting that freak flag fly, embraced my witch, embraced my dragon, was able to start communicating with star beings and star seeds and dragons and archangels and guides in this whole new way, opening up all of my psychic abilities that everyone has. You guys know that I teach you how to tap into your own superconscious resources, aka psychic gifts, because it's something that we all have access to. It's all part of our 12 strands of DNA. All of the rest of the non coding DNA is to help us be in communion with Source. So that's something that I learned over the last year, and how to just really live happily ever after. Like to finally just accept that your life is actually amazing, or that my life was actually amazing, and to stop trying to create problems. Stop trying to, because that's what society says that I should do. Like I should always have a problem that I'm trying to solve. Thank you. Thank you. So let's start with 10xing the business, shall we? Because I'm so stoked about this part. I last year at this time, my business had only made like less than $5,000, and for the year. Okay, so I was doing all of the hustle, doing all of the grind, constantly trying to create the income, trying to create the impact, following all the people, taking all the classes, taking all the courses, and had even like spent over, even like last year, like total, I've probably spent over $75,000 in coaching with all the different programs that I've done over the last 2 years. Well, since 2000 and yeah, since 2018, so the last 2 years, trying, like literally the word trying, like working so hard, hustling, but not actually putting in the work that was really needed. I kept being like, well, what do people want? What do they want? What do they want? Instead of connecting with the people that I was here to serve, like really understanding and owning that. And it's because I wasn't willing to own it within myself that that was the type of person I was. So for me, I serve parents who are of the not typical variety. I'm really out there serving and working with those who are wanting to make a big impact in their life by teaching their mission, sharing their story. I work a lot with men and women who have overcome insane diseases or adversity in their lives that now they have this story to tell and they don't know how to get it out there. They don't know what it is they're supposed to be creating. Am I creating a book? Am I creating a movie? Am I creating a business? Am I creating what is it that I'm doing? Because I have this amazing story to tell. I have these gifts to share. But when you're teaching people how to be on the astral plane, or when you're teaching them that they can heal their entire body with their thoughts, there's a whole lot of societal stuff that you have to get rid of. And a lot of that is like you're sitting just like in the goo, is what how I describe it. So I finally admitted to myself that I was living in the goo, that I was not having the structure and the boundaries that I needed to actually have a successful business, because I was so afraid of teaching people, oh, I speak dragon tongue. Oh, I meditate, but not the way that you're used to. I connect with archangels and divine beings and Pleiadians and Octurians and Sirian star nations. And I connect to inner earth and the crystals. And I know about Atlantis and the previous golden age. And I understand how our mitochondria are connected in our ascension process and how our whole body is just a giant electromagnet. Like, I had to break so far out of the logical mind because it was just this itty bitty tiny little like materialistic logical mind, like Newton logic. And I had to allow myself to expand into Einstein and quantum logic, like really own that I knew my shit. So that's the first thing that I want any of you who are out there like struggling building your business. Maybe you've been doing it for a few years. The first thing that I did is I finally bit the bullet and hired a one-on-one coach myself. And it was really fucked up because I was trying to get people to hire me one-on-one, but I wasn't investing large amounts in one-on-one work. I would spend way more on like a group project package than I ever spent on just me, which was a whole worthiness thing, right? So I was the first, like, I finally just got someone who called me out on my shit. Krista, I fucking love you. And she got me to finally pull out all the dragon stuff. Finally got me to admit, like, you are here to teach leaders. You are here to stand up as a leader, to be the lighthouse in someone else's storm, to just let that freak flag fly so big and so bright that people can't ignore you anymore. Because I, I was trying, I thought I was trying, but I was trying to make other people comfortable with my message is what it was. I was marketing it as super conscious leadership and in this very comfortable package instead of calling it what it was, which is birthing your motherfucking dragon and owning that you are destructive as Shiva, what over here, but also can be as caring and loving as Ma Durga, and having that Kali Ma energy while also holding Kuan Yin. Those are the things that I teach my clients how to do, why they hire me, and why now in 2020 my business so far has made $50,000. Like 10 times the amount of money since last year. Well, more than that, right? Like I made more money last year as well. I think I ended the year last year at around 20 grand, but now so far this year I've made another 50. So like, yeah, last year I jumped out of an airplane. So why don't we talk about how I started working with timelines, which is also a huge reason why people hire me. So my bespoke dragon invocations, you guys know, are, yeah, one-on-one totally is the fucking best. Like seriously, guys, like I have an amazing membership group that I love to lead because we're doing a lot of magic, like group magic in it. But one-on-one will always have my heart because I am a massage therapist, first and foremost, structural alignment therapy. I just finally learned how to be able to do it outside of like just massaging people. And I have cultivated my modality and method of taking you like sitting in that goo and finally just giving you a structure to like hold on to. Where am I? I'm located in Salt Lake City. Yeah, if you're looking for a massage therapist though, I am taking appointments. Um, I ain't afraid. So sitting in that goo, I love that phrase because it's talking about the process of metamorphosis of a caterpillar into a butterfly or a dragonfly nymph into a dragonfly. So a dragonfly, before it becomes a dragonfly, is called a nymph. So that's pretty cool. So if you're someone who relates to fairies and you're kind of like, I don't know how I feel about dragons, fairies and unicorns are like the light, fluffy, nice way of getting into dragon magic. Dragon magic is very destructive. You guys know this. I talk about it all the time. It's second chakra energy, pure creation energy. It's sacred prostitute energy, pure kundalini and shakti. It's also like a toddler. So very innocent, very just, this is what I want to create. And I don't really care that it doesn't make sense. This is what I want to make, right? Because nothing makes sense. The reason why I work so much with parents is because they have kids that are forcing them to work outside of the box. And I always just remind them, like, the world that we were raised in doesn't even exist anymore. So why are we still trying to raise our kids the same way? So I'm gonna put a pin in that for a second. Timelines. Bespoke Dragon Invocations, when you receive one of these one-on-one sessions, which is the precursor to work with me one-on-one, like you can't work with me one-on-one if you haven't done one of these invocations first, because we see how your energy matches with being pulled into your highest potential timeline for the liberation of all beings from suffering. So it's a very specific timeline where we are all liberating each other from the lies and the bullshit and the imprisonment of the old society. So that's a very specific timeline. But then within that, there's a lot of options in which everybody's liberated from suffering. So we sync you where your souls gets its highest level of ascension growth as well. So it's like the merging of like, okay, my soul's highest ascension and the liberation of all beings. Think this is the timeline that we put you in with a bespoke dragon invocation. So during those, we were working with timelines. So the way that I really started working with timelines last year was I went skydiving on my birthday. So 1 year tomorrow. I went skydiving, had the hottest. I was not upset that if something were to happen, he was going to be the person on the back of me. Just saying. But what I decided while I was up there is that you guys know, I've told you that my whole life, from when I was like 7 years old, maybe even younger, I was suicidal. Like I would try to touch telephone or like electrical wires to see what would happen. And I would think about like how could I fake my death to see how if people actually showed up. So I was very like alone, felt very isolated, was very depressed, felt very ignored and neglected. And because of this, I developed like pretty intense like dramatic scenes in my head that led me to be, I was just always a very dramatic child. Let's like just someone should have gotten me an agent. But even then, I didn't have any worth, right? So even when we did try to sign me up for drama stuff like that, I never felt worthy of having all the attention. It was this total catch 22, a catch 22 that a ton of my clients come to me with. So of course I understand the worthiness. I want to be seen, but I don't know how to be seen. But I want to be seen, but I don't know how to do that. I'm not worthy of it. So what I decided when I went skydiving last year was that any timeline, any and all timelines in which those suicidal thoughts, not which ones like ended in suicide, the ones that I even had those thoughts, we were just gonna smash them. Literally. So I took, as I was getting in the plane, I was just thinking, okay, any of those timelines where I'm depressed, any of those timelines where I am like not in my highest alignment, any of those timelines where I am thinking about killing myself or I hate my life or any of the things that I've been working on, being an anxious mother, being an angry mother, like I took all of the negative parts of me that I've been transmuting and working on and still couldn't really like get over. And I said a prayer for them and I let them die. I knew that by the time I landed on the ground, any thoughts, anything like that was no longer going to be in my system because those timelines were going to have died. Okay? That is a belief structure. That is a super solid belief structure that has now guided me for the next year that I haven't. I've been really upset. I almost got divorced. I was freaking out multiple times trying to figure out how my whole life was going to work out the way it needed to, and COVID and all of the things. But never once did I think about killing myself. Never once did I scream it out while we were in the middle of a fight, which used to be the thing that I did all the time to make him stop fighting. Well, if we'll keep going like this, then I'm just gonna kill myself. Like, I wasn't. I'm a fucking Leo. I am. No. It was drama. It was something that I learned from high school girls who got attention when they cut themselves, and the media teaching me that depressed kids got attention or something. I don't fucking know. It's ridiculous. Sorry guys. I gotta fix my hair. It's really bugging me. Um, comments. I'm gonna read the comments. Okay, cool. Just a tag. Sweet. Right? Yeah. So I just killed all those off. But what did that mean? It meant that all the versions of me that weren't suicidal were all of a sudden given all this space to step up. So I created a whole course called Checked Out to Dialed In, which was amazing. Just all of this information that I had learned channeling through of how to connect to really learn how to dial in, like to turn that dial into that specific timeline. How do you listen? How do you open up your ear chakras? How do you open up your third eye? And then the dragons dropped in literally the same day of my of skydiving. So a week prior to skydiving, I had been added to a Walking with Dragons 9-day challenge where the woman used the same oracle deck that I use, the dragon oracle deck that I had like given my husband as a gift the year before. And she did invocations every single day, or she called them activations, speaking in dragon tongue. And I was like, what the fuck? There's like 100 people in this group and they all want to listen to her. I had never heard about light language. I didn't know what any of that was. I had gone to an event in Chicago and done a performance of Dragon Tongue, but it was very specific. Like I wasn't sharing it out with a lot of people. It was only the people that were at this event, and it was a pretty crazy, wild event. So like having crazy vocal toning was not out of the box for the event that I was at. Like we had people on stilts and candles, and like it was a show for sure. So it was like this woman, Allie Smith, I believe is her name, gave me permission to all of a sudden start sharing my dragon tongue, and gave it a name that's what it was because I knew that it was very specific to dragons. And when I jumped out of the airplane, I like, whew, I am a dragon. Like I am not some pretty little goddess sitting floating on some cloud or some unicorn or a fairy or a nymph like or a mermaid. Like I am a motherfucking dragon. And from there, I started doing the bespoke dragon invocations. From there, I got one of my clients who was able to blow up her business in psychic abilities, teaching Fortune 1000 companies how to use their superconscious resources to channel like ET alien technology to move us forward. In the golden age, her business exploded while we were working together. My book started pouring out of me. The group that I created, Super Conscious Leaders, started having people connecting, wanting to be a part of how do I lead a movement? How do I stand up and just let my freak be fearlessly and authentically me in all of the ways? So you guys know that dragons opened up like my whole business for me. But it didn't happen until I made this decision that I was no longer depressed, that I was no longer anxious, that I was no longer going to think any suicidal thoughts, and that any and all timelines in which that coding still existed got smashed. Like, at least she had a really, really hot instructor on her. Unfortunately, he died too, but it's my reality. So, we've talked about, okay, so happily ever after is really in that. When you're talking about learning how to live happily ever after, you have to decide. Thank you, Douglas. Thank you. You have to decide that your life gets to be the example of what is possible, okay? When you finally choose that you're going to stand up and you're going to start going live, even though it's terrifying, and you're going to start sharing your story about how you had this everyone has one. Everyone has a story that is going to empower someone else. There's a reason why I love the quote, "You are always a lighthouse in someone else's storm." I don't even know who said it because every time I look it up, it's like attributed to a ton of different people. So we're just going to put author unknown because it's true. I had no idea that I was going to start changing people's lives on the other side of the planet because I was talking about how I was no longer willing to yell at my children, how I was talking about using the ability to channel my higher self, when I was talking about being in ritual with the lunar cycles and living my whole life in alignment with what I knew was in the highest alignment for my spiritual growth. I didn't have an inkling of an idea of the impact that I was going to be creating and that I continue to create just by showing up, by crying my eyes out on Facebook Live sometimes. You guys have seen that. By sharing the most vulnerable parts of me when I shared that my husband and I almost got divorced and then I refused to be a COVID divorce number. Was like, hell to the motherfucking no, that's not happening. Because I could feel and knew that it was an upper limit problem. My business was skyrocketing. My kids were doing great. I finally had found like a group of people that I really felt I was connected to. So, of course, I was going to start creating some bullshit in my family and with my husband because that is what we do. We create problems that aren't even there because society tells us that we are supposed to be miserable. Being blissfully prosperous means there must be something wrong with, like, you're doing drugs, right? Think about it. Think about a person right now that in the media gets shown as blissful and prosperous. What happens immediately? Immediately afterwards, they're caught cheating on their husband. They're addicted to drugs. Their fucking plane blows up. Humans have spent so long in fight or flight that for the last 100 or so years that we've lived in a more prosperous way with modern medicine and the technologies that we have and being able to talk to, like, I'm on Facebook and Instagram talking to a million, like, Facebook has 1 billion people on it. Instagram probably has very close to the same amount. Sure, a lot of them are cross users. I put all of my things on public. Every single one of my videos is available to billions of people around the planet. Anyone who has the internet could find these videos if they looked for them. That's me showing up, telling my story because I know that there are other moms and dads and uncles and aunts and siblings out there that are like, I cannot let my little kids that are in my life grow up in this fucked up world. That I am going to do whatever it takes, no matter what, to create bliss and prosperity and love and abundance and success in all areas of my life. But that means you have to let go of the story that says that doing so is going to somehow going to get you killed. That you're going to somehow end up being burned at the stake for talking about magic. That you're going to somehow end up locked away because you say that you can hear voices. We have to demolish all those fears. We dissolve those fears. And as we dissolve those fears and we clear out all of the bullshit and we let the old things decay and die, we come together, and that goo that you've been sitting in, that I was sitting in for almost 2 years from when I found my first mentor that, was $1 million mentor, and I knew I was going to be a high level coach, and I knew that I wasn't going to be doing things the way, like the ordinary way. I sat in that goo, just like so full of knowledge, so spread out, and just didn't know how to hold it, how to create the container necessary to keep myself accountable. So if nothing else this year, I've learned that what my word is, it really is my bond. There's a reason why we say my word is my bond. My word is what holds me together. If I say I'm going to do something, I better fucking do it, or at very least come out and tell people why I didn't do it, right? Own up to it. If you make a commitment, you need to commit. Like, that's a commitment. So I learned how to be quiet. I learned how to not say yes to things I didn't want. I learned how to think before I talked. And all of these things helped the goo crystallize. I got a one on one coach who helped me immensely. And then I got another one who was all about the 3D structure that my business needed to be in. And since hiring even her in May, since May, my business has more than tripled. Total, it's more than 10x. And what I'm doing is not hustling. I was hustling last year. I was working like 60, 40, a full 40-hour week. I work about 10 to 12 hours a week now. The level of clients that I'm calling in are also higher level clients because they know the regular. They want to know how to go bilocate, how to go have a meeting in Egypt together on the astral plane. They want to know how to speak directly to their Syrian guide who's helping them right now in their part of their journey and to remember that conversation and then put it into action. They want to know how to take all of the beauty and the bliss that's inside of them and share it because right now they're afraid that people are going to be like, well, good for you. Your life is awesome. That's something you have to get over. You have to get over people being jealous of you because you have an amazing sex life and an amazing partner and your kids are super fucking smart and you're thin and beautiful and fit. Like you don't have to be thin, right? But you're just like fit. You love your fucking body no matter what. You just radiate orgasmic juice all over the place energetically. Other people are going to fucking hate you because of it. Because they don't understand how you're doing it. Oh, well, there must be something wrong with her. No, there's nothing wrong with me. That's why I trigger you. I know that there is nothing wrong with me. There is not an integral, there is no crack in my glass. I have created a solid container that all I do now is expand and expand and expand, creating a prosperity vortex. This is something that my DNA has to accept. My DNA, our whole human, the whole species has to learn, has to learn that fight or flight is no longer necessary. Our reptilian brain right here that we all have, so all you guys talking shit on reptilian people, like, hello, you have a reptilian brain. We don't need to tap into it as much anymore. We have a prefrontal cortex, okay? We can we can allow our lives to get bigger and better. We can allow the ideals of Gene Roddenberry and Star Trek to actually be our regular life. No poverty, no classism, no hunger, no sex trafficking. That shit doesn't need to exist anymore. Even some of the stuff that I see in the Federation with the war with the Klingons, like that shit even will no, it won't fucking exist. We are moving away from this 3D paradigm that says that there is war and conflict and famine and strife and suffering. And we are liberating all beings in this whole fucking universe from that illusion. Yeah, the golden age is coming. The dawning of the age of Aquarius is here. The great conjunction is on December 21st of 2020. If you are not speaking this fucking language already, if you're not having meetings with your star family, if you're not channeling, on a regular basis to know what is the next step for you in your life, if you're not connecting into the grid on a 12th dimensional level where all of your chakras are going out in all directions, feeling into the shift, then I promise you, if 2020 was weird for you, 2021 is going to be a fucking shit show. Nothing that's happened in 2020 has caught me by surprise at all because I can feel it coming. I know when it's happening and I know exactly how to process it through my own body. It looks selfish to the rest of the world. It seems like I'm a narcissist. I get called a narcissist all the fucking time, by the way. Narcissists are not self aware. I have extreme self awareness. Extreme self awareness. So I know exactly when I'm slipping down into lower thoughts and lower vibrations, when I can feel the fear creeping back into my body. And I know exactly how to alchemize that. I know how to take that lead, that heaviness, that density, and turn it and transmute it and dissolve it into light frequency, which I use and I create. I create a live stream. I create a course. I create an amazing conversation with my kids. I create a play date. I'm living a playful, blissful life. And my DNA literally has to sometimes catch up. Like, no, 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 no. Oh, I'm going to create a problem over here. My ego, my old patterns create some issue, some illusion. Like my car one time broke down a little bit, but it was right before I went to go take mushrooms. So what happened? The whole night I was just focused on the fact that I thought my car was broken. But it wasn't. I had just driven it a whole lot and it was a little mad. But even that experience taught me how much I just create problems where they don't even really exist. You know, I love that I can talk about plant medicine. I love that I can talk about communing with animals and with dragons. I love that I can tell you all that it's so much easier when you're living in alignment with your highest truth because you can see so much clearer what the lies and illusions are, and then you can serve other people. To serve other people, like you have to go within. Like the only way that you out of your suffering is through it. It's to allow it. It's to sink into, you know what? There's a part of me that absolutely fucking loves when my credit card gets declined. I had to sit with that for a couple months actually. Going through the grocery store. Oh, I don't know if this is going to clear or not. I don't know if I have enough money for this. Because every time I tried to fight it, something else would happen. Something like a furnace would break down or a surprise, some giant surprise bill would happen. And when I finally just allowed for the fact that there's a part of me that loves that, oh my God, I don't know if it's going to clear or not, it stopped happening. I went and paid for dinner the other night. I have thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in my business bank account. I went to pay for dinner because I was at this retreat and it was going to be tax write offable. And I still got the pitter patter that somehow my card was going to decline, even though I knew that there was plenty of money in it. And I just let it let it fill my whole heart. Like, okay, yeah, I know. There's a part of you that remembers never being able to pay for dinner. Or when I would pay for dinner, it would cause me to overdraw. And I just honored that part of me. I honored the part of me that was freaking the fuck out about paying for dinner, even though the logical part of me knew that there's plenty of money. The card's going to clear. It's not an issue. When you can own and love every single tiny little facet of you, own the part that I'm a narcissist, look in the mirror and say, I am Donald Trump. You guys know I love naked mirror mantras. It's one of my favorite master classes to teach. When I could finally sit there and come onto a Facebook Live and sing Dragon Tongue in front of like literally billions of people could watch my video. And the dragon energy that's coming through is because dragons, they're the original creators of magic. All life is born through a dragon. It comes from source through a dragon, and then the universe is created, whichever universe in the entirety of the multiverse. It's why Kundalini yoga or Kundalini energy looks like a spiral, like a serpent. That's a whole nother live stream. But yes, Lori, reach out to me about that. So that's my life for this beautiful morning. Like, my life has changed in a year so much. And from the year before, if you guys go and watch a live stream I probably did on my birthday last year, it was crazy then. If you were to go to a live stream from 2 years ago when I'm in Hawaii, I was a size 14. I was depressed. I screamed at my kids all the time, even though I didn't want to. Go back 3 years, I had just had my baby girl, and that's when I finally decided. It was 3 years ago this month that I did my first ever Facebook Live challenge where I was learning about gratitude, and I threw up because I realized that I didn't know what gratitude felt like. I knew what entitlement felt like. I was entitled to my life being perfect instead of being grateful for how perfect it was because it wasn't measuring up. I had so many things about what was wrong in my life that I couldn't even appreciate what was good. People would say, "You're so lucky." And I'd be like, "Bridge, let me tell you, I was the queen of the Whose Life is Worse game. I could have written a book, 1001 Excuses to Get Out of Anything at any time, in a very logical way. It's also the reason why my one on one clients are usually people who know exactly what I'm talking about. They quantum leap. They're ready for quantum flight. They're like, I don't know what's next, but get me in it because I am sick and tired of what I'm doing right now. I'm bored. We get bored really easily because we are such fast learners because we're here for the big shit. We're here to welcome the aliens. We're here to stand unabashedly up against the big bad wolf and say, "You and what army? Because I've got the army of God behind me." Or however you want to call it, you know? These are all gods. So I figure the entire pantheon of every single pantheon, I've got them covered if you were to look in my room. I have them all. I got the Greek gods, I got the Roman gods, I got the Egyptian gods, I got some Shiva, or not Shiva, I got Christian gods. We're covered. It must have brought me to, yes, I feel writing that out is even nuts. Yeah, it can feel crazy to start talking about dragons, right? But oh, yes. It feels crazy. You feel like you're going insane, but really you're going sane. What's insane is the fucking 3D. What's insane is your news. If you turn on channel 3, 5, whatever fucking news right now, that is insane. What you're doing, magic, magic is a spiritual science. There is very scientific ways to prove that magic works. It's a very step by step recipe, if you want to call it that. But it's a spiritual science that allows you to go sane. You're becoming more and more sane the way that we do this. We do have the math. Yes, we have the power of the universe behind us. Yep. Kalia, my girl's got me. Yeah. And when you're someone who's destructive already by nature, you want to destroy the old paradigm. You want to just burn it down to the ground because it's got to be better than what's going on right now, right? It's like a toddler who like spends all this time building a Lego city and after an hour is all like, "You know what? Fuck this," and goes through and like takes his dinosaur to it. It's not a bad thing. Make something beautiful. How nostalgic. Yeah. So I love you all. Thank you so much for spending some birthday time with me. Cheers. If you're interested in booking a bespoke dragon invocation, I will leave the link. Instagram, the link is in my bio. So you have that. And Facebook, I will leave the link right here. I love you all so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for just being you, for perfectly, flawlessly, fearlessly, authentically, flossomely. That's a word, flossomely, because we got flaws. It's okay. They're all a part of who we are. You are perfect. You are whole. You are unique. You are exactly who you are meant to be, and you are exactly where you're supposed to be on your journey. And if you're looking for a little bit of extra support, if you are sick of sitting in the goo and you're ready to take off into quantum flight as a motherfucking dragon, reach out. You know where to find me. I love you.